Give me just a couple more minutes. What's up, Angie? How you doing, sweetheart? I'm gonna try to let a couple more people filter in before I get started. As y'all can see right now over here, I'm drinking Gatorade. Uh, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good, Angie. Hey, Angie, when I get to when I go live on my other channel, that's where I'm gonna wrench y'all up over there. Everybody who joined the channel, I'm gonna wrench everybody up over there on that channel. But I appreciate you coming over here. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate the support. Um, I am kind of suggested this the other day, and I thought, he made a valid point, and that's one reason why I'm gonna start coming over here and doing these serious topics over here. Then the other channel is pretty much gonna be, open mic, whatever happened, whatever happened. That way we can keep everything separated to a certain extent. But don't get me wrong, we still can have serious topics over there also, you know. But I do want people to understand that, we can have serious discussions about certain things right here on this platform without all the BS. All right, so let me get started right quick. So what I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna play a video uh, that pretty much described what the 1994 crime bill consists of, and what were some of the issues of it, and what were some of the positive, what were some of the negative points. Then after that, what's up, Mark? Then after that, I'll break it down and we'll discuss the major issues of that bill. And do we feel like that bill, is that bill really the issue in our community, or we just need to be, or we need to hold each other more accountable for our own actions? So let me play that video first, and then we'll go from there. You can't hear it, Angie? There's no sound?
It it did contribute to mass incarceration in our country. It's important that people remember the context of the political environment in the early 1990s.
The other big piece of legislation on Capitol Hill tonight is the crime bill.
Now, violent crime peaked in 1991, and the drafters of the bill didn't know that in 1993 and 1994 when they were drafting and signing it. Urban areas, urban cities across the country were ravaged by crack cocaine, and Americans were afraid of crime. The 1994 crime bill was signed by President Bill Clinton. This was a pretty significant bill at the time, and President Clinton and Senator Biden at the time were right that the bill was significant.
The most significant federal effort to deal with violent crime in America that has ever been undertaken.
It was important for a Democrat at the time to be seen as taking a significant role in trying to reduce crime and violence in the United States. And at the time, the Congressional Black Caucus was part of the debate around the crime bill. And the Congressional Black Caucus didn't want every provision that was included in this bill. It became clear that the provisions in the 94 crime bill were going to be a political compromise. So the history is much more complicated than it's sometimes portrayed by the media. Now, what did the bill do? Just like a lot of political compromises, there was the good and there was the bad. For example, the bill eliminated 19 types of semi-automatic assault weapons. It also provided huge amounts of funding to hire cops. 100,000 cops were funded. It was about $14 million at the time for community policing. The bill also enacted the Violence Against Women Act that provided funding to protect women and victims of domestic violence and crimes against women. But the most pernicious provision of the 1994 crime bill was its $12 billion that was authorized for states across the country that would enact what's called truth in sentencing laws. That funding literally paid states to increase the number of prison beds that they allocated for individuals convicted of violent crime in this country to serve 85% of their sentences behind bars. The reason that provision is so important and the reason we're still talking about it today is the federal government essentially subsidized states across the country to build more prisons. So 25 years later, the crime bill is being debated.
You stood up and used that tough on crime, phony rhetoric. That bill was a huge mistake.
There's no question that that crime bill contributed to America's mass incarceration problem.
1994 crime bill, we had a gigantic epidemic in America of violence, particularly in African American communities. The notion was it was overwhelmingly supported. It was supported by the Black Caucus in the United States Senate by and large.
And the reason that the crime bill comes up so often is, today in 2019, it is hard for so many people to understand why the federal government would pay states to incarcerate more people, given the devastating consequences we know that incarceration causes. But at the time, policymakers felt the need to respond to what they felt was uncontrolled violence. And this bill was the way that policymakers, that Congress could say, would do something about it.
Violent crime and the fear it provokes are crippling our society. The crime bill before Congress gives you a chance to do something about it, a chance to be tough and smart.
We need to examine the crime bill and all of the federal bills that galvanize prison spending, that galvanize more arrests, more incarceration, and we need to look to the future. And today, the United States leads the world in terms of incarceration. In fact, if each state were its own country, 23 states would have the highest incarceration rate in the world. Any candidate running for election who's serious about criminal justice reform, who's serious about cutting the prison population by 50%, needs to take a hard look at what has worked and hasn't worked in terms of our past criminal justice policies and understand that federal funding to increase the number of beds in prisons across the country is simply not a way to create safer and healthier people.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our.
All right. So that video, that little small 5-minute video shows you give you a glimpse of some of the good points and some of the major bad points of the 1994 crime bill. Now, my thing is today in our political world, we still debate that crime bill. Now, Joe Biden is running for president, and that crime bill is coming up consistently every other week, where they want him to apologize for it. They want him to admit that it was wrong. It wasn't really thought through process. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I have mixed feelings on that bill. And I'm gonna explain to you the reason why I have mixed feelings on that bill. If you're my age or a little younger or older, you knew what was going on in the 80s and in the early 90s with the crack epidemic had took over. Washington, D.C., Chicago, New York, almost every major city in this country was being destroyed by crack cocaine. Was being destroyed. And murders was like running rapid. I think DC was like the murder capital of the country at the time. Between New York and DC. You had families being destroyed by crack cocaine. So from that stance, I probably would have voted for that bill too. Seeing the devastation of the neighborhoods and of families, what would you have done? Yeah, you can play Monday morning quarterback 20-some years later and say, yes, it led to mass incarceration. Yes, it took a lot of kids away from their parents and threw them in jail, in prison for many, many years. But without hindsight, what would you have done to help solve those issues? Y'all have to understand, those black people dying in the inner city at that time. Now, there was a congressman, Bobby Rush, out of Chicago, who voted for that bill in 1994. Matter of fact, he's still in Congress today. And he represents Chicago. Now, Chicago is one of the most violent cities in this country. What should we do? What should we do? That's the whole thing about it. Accountability. How do we hold ourselves accountable for that bill? Did that bill incarcerate us? Or did we incarcerate ourselves because there was no accountability? You know, I understand a lot of people think that we locked up a lot of black males off of that bill. But what was those black males doing? They were destroying their own neighborhoods. They was killing mothers and fathers in the streets for no reason. How do you solve that issue? How do you solve that issue? Like Mark said, the DC mayor was getting high also. And I think this is what makes it so hard for us to understand that bill, because we wasn't there. We didn't lose a mother or a father or a son or a daughter during that crack era. We didn't. No, I remember when they was talking about those kingpins. When I look back and I look at documentaries about the DC area back in the 80s and the early 90s, New York, and all the drug kingpins, when they was out there killing in the streets for nothing, for looking at the person the wrong way, they was killing people. Now, like I said, that crime bill was a very harsh bill in many ways. Now, one thing I didn't like about that bill, it was trying to incarcerate teenage kids and put them in the system as adults. That's something that I felt like was totally wrong. Now, I don't think that crack cocaine and the cocaine sentences guidelines was in that bill. It might have been, but I don't think it was. But that was something else that I disagreed on. Because without cocaine, you cannot have crack cocaine. You know, I was watching TV last night, and it was 3 black females. And one of the black females said that Joe Biden needed to be held accountable for that 1994 crime bill. Now, if I was there with her, I would have asked her one question. What would you have done in 1994 if the crime rate was out of control and your city, your neighborhoods was the ones being destroyed? What would you have done as a black woman? What would you have done? And then we tend to forget that black congressmen and women voted for that bill also. They voted yes on that bill. Bobby Rush, out of Chicago, who's still in office right now, voted yes for that bill. Even though 4 years ago he came back and apologized for the bill, but he voted yes for the bill. Now, another thing, a lot of people don't give Obama credit for one thing. Like I said, Obama could not change. He really could not change a lot of things in the system because of Mitch McConnell. So what Obama did to help solve some of those issues when he was in office, he went and told Eric Holder to not push for mandatory maximum sentences anymore. And that was one way that he got around Congress. The Congress did not want to work with him. So when people said that Obama didn't do anything for black people, y'all are wrong. Because y'all sit here and complain about that 1994 crime bill, and Obama went and told his attorney general, do not push for those mandatory maximum sentences anymore. What's up? I can see you over here in the Prince. And that's what he did. But then with all this politics stuff that's going on, we ignore what Trump did after Obama left. Trump allowed his attorney general, Jeff Sessions, to put those guidelines back into effect. See, this is why I say politics is so tricky these days. We put out narratives to fit whatever your candidate likes. But we don't put out the truth. And the truth of the matter, Donald Trump, if you're going to say Joe Biden did something in 1994 to harm the black community, Donald Trump did the same thing in 2017 when he came to office. He did the same thing because he let his attorney general to put those guidelines back into effect for the 1994 crime bill. But in today's society, we don't think about that. We got short memories. We don't think. We just go with the flow. So when I hear these people like Candace Owens and Brandon Tatum, who try to make Trump to be out to be this good guy for black people, honestly, if Biden is a demon for the 1994 crime bill. So is Trump. Because Trump took Obama guidelines and reversed them back to the 1994 crime bill. That's what Trump did. So while all these people running around here saluting Trump for helping black people, no, he didn't help black people. Not only that, if you go back to the late 80s, the Central Park Five, what did Trump tell the media? Those kids should have been put to death. That came out of Trump's mouth. But we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. And that's the part about politics that I don't like. We pick and choose a side when both sides was wrong. We talk about Trump in this opportunity zone. We talk about Trump in this low employment. We talk about Trump in this prison reform. Do y'all realize that before Trump came to power, the opportunity zones and the prison reform bills was already in effect already to be pushed through Congress? But they would not let Obama get wins, Mitch McConnell, so they couldn't push those bills through. And then when Trump came to power, Mitch McConnell let all those bills be pushed through to make him look good. Trump didn't have anything to do with those bills. Those bills are in the works already. But getting back to this 1994 crime bill, though, my thing about the whole situation is, when do we start holding each other accountable for our actions? We try to hold everybody else accountable for their actions, but we never hold ourselves accountable for our own actions. We're the ones who was pulling the trigger. It wasn't the KKK. It wasn't these white supremacist groups. It was us. Us. So when do we start holding each other accountable for these crimes? When do we start holding our kids accountable for the things they're doing in the streets? Because that's when they start this as teenagers. Y'all have to understand also, back in the late 80s, in the early 90s, people was afraid to go outside in their own neighborhoods. Kids was being killed like kids are being killed today, playing in the streets. We were scared. We were scared. Those are some serious, dangerous times. Y'all talking about Chicago being the way it is today. Just think about almost every major city in this country was just like Chicago. LA, Houston, Atlanta, DC, New York. All those cities was just like Chicago back then. Violent killings. But we want to complain when they want to lock those people up. But it's all a politics game, though. Because all these politicians who are saying that today, I guarantee you, if you go back 25, 26 years ago, a lot of them did the same thing. We did the same thing. So do I really have a problem with the 1994 crime bill? Not really. Because at the time, we needed that. Now, I will say this right here. When crime decreased, we should have revisited that bill. We should have made changes in that bill. I will say that. Most definitely say that. '94 crime bill target minorities, wrong or right? You know what, the Prince? I don't really think it targeted minorities the way y'all think it did. I think it targeted criminals, the drug dealers, the gang bangers. That's what it targeted. Because you got to realize, at that time, majority of the crime, the violent crime, was being done in the inner cities. So if you want to say it targeted minorities, that's what was in the inner cities. And that's where the crime was. So basically, it is what it is. And that's why I'm saying you have to look at the time period. You have to look at what was going on at the time. You can look at Chicago right now and ask yourself right now, how do you solve the issues in Chicago? That's a good point too, T. That's a good point. The bill didn't need to change. The criminals need to stop doing crime. That is true. You know, we've been talking about Chicago for the last, 5-6 years? With the murder rate the way it is, seeing innocent kids killed on the streets. How do we solve that problem? The only way you can solve that problem, and I'm going to be honest with you, the only way you can solve that problem is lock them up. Lock them up. That's it. That's all you can do. It's sad, but it's true. And the reason why it's sad, because what are we doing as parents, as adults, to raise the youth, to bring them up the right way, to show them that being a game banger is not the right move to make in life? How do we give them opportunities to get out of those situations? We talk about educations. We talk about job programs. But the problem with that is no one is really pushing those programs. We talk about it, true enough. We talk about it day in and day out. But no one ever moves. No one ever enact anything. We spend billions and billions of dollars, true enough, on prisons, but we don't want to spend no money on the inner cities. See, that's another thing also. When we was talking about reparations, and my stance on reparations is we don't need reparations, individual reparations. We don't need that. What we need is funding for the inner cities as a whole. So instead of pushing reparations for individuals, push reparations for the inner cities. But we don't do that though, because that's too simple. We want to push reparations for individuals, knowing that there is no way in hell you will ever get individual reparations in 2020. No way. But we don't do that though. We don't push for just funding, for jobs, training programs, schools for the inner cities. Inner cities need more than anyone else in this country. Atlanta, DC, New York, Chicago, LA, all the inner cities in this country are suffering right now. Not because of the 1994 crime bill, because we got lazy politicians who are the same color as we, who are not working for us. They're not working for us at all. Because if they was, we'll be in better shape. We'll have better schools in the inner city. It's a crime shame that almost every school system in the inner city lagged behind, bringing up the rear. And who controls the inner city? We do. Black mayors, black councilmen, black police chiefs, black principals, black school attendants. That's who controls the inner cities. We do. Well, honestly, Prince, now by living in the Northeast, when I moved up here, my daughter, I never knew this. I moved up here. They have trades in the high schools up here. They teach you a trade in the high school. They got vocational high schools up here where you can learn to be a mechanic. You can learn to be a plumber, a mechanic, a RN. They have programs. And that's one thing they lack in the South. They don't have those type of those programs in high schools in the South. So it all depends where you go to school at. And that's what, and like I said, up here, it's totally different because Boston, outside of Boston itself, there's a lot of regional high schools. And that's something that the South needs to start looking into. Get more vocational high schools. Teach these kids a trade. For the ones who don't want to go to college or the ones who can't get into college, teach them a trade. Give them something to do. But we don't do that. Kid want to drop out of school at 16, 17, we let them drop out. We don't try to motivate them to stay in. We let them go to the street corner, hang out on the street corner. But then we want to blame other people for our issues. We have to help ourselves first. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. As a race, we approved the crime bill by 58%. But today, we want to blame Joe Biden. Right. Even in the South, they had SHOP and had Home Ec. Now, up north, they do a little bit more. But, yeah, in the South, we did have SHOP and Home Ec, most definitely. In which they cut those programs out. A lot of those programs are going to the side now. But my thing is, we need to start holding each other accountable. We need to start helping one another succeed. We need to start helping each other. Stop looking for the other man to help us when we can help ourselves. Do y'all realize we have more millionaires and billionaires in this country today than ever before? Black people who are millionaires and billionaires. Why are we suffering the way we are suffering with all that money in our community? We have the money. We have the ability. But we just don't put it to use in the right way. We don't. We really don't. We sit back and we complain about the other man. And we need to help ourselves first. Do what we can do to help us. You know, about 3 or 4 months ago, I did a video, and I got some flack for the video because I was pointing out some issues that I seen in our community. How I pointed out how instead of us doing like the little things, like litter, for instance, the other day, for instance, I sit and watch this guy sit on a bench with trash, leave the trash on the bench, and the trash can was literally like 3 feet away. 3 feet away. But he didn't want to do that. He'd rather leave the trash on the bench. On the bench. Simple things like that we don't do. We don't do. But then we'll turn around and look at someone else and say, why are you not helping us? Why are you not doing this for us? Why are you not doing that for us? That's one thing that we need to get out of. That's the mentality we need to leave behind. Stop looking for other people to help us. Stop it. And that's why when I hear people talk about the 1994 crime bill, like it really harmed us. Yes, it locked a lot of black men up. Yes, it did. It really did. But it saved a lot of lives in the black community. It saved a lot of lives in the black community. See, we don't look at it from that point of view. We just look at it from the negative point of view, but we don't look at it from the positive point of view. We don't look at it from that point of view. Start looking at things from the positive point of view. Start looking at things from what did that bill do to save some of us? Because if it weren't for that bill, honestly, if it weren't for that bill, some of us would not be here today. That bill saved a lot of lives. Yes, it locked a lot of people up, but it saved a lot of lives also. Well, Prince, I think the problem is, though, we have to teach ourselves to be more financially responsible, though. And that's one of the problems that we need to teach. There's a lot of money in the black community, but we don't use that money smart. We don't. And that's something we need to teach. Financial responsibility. Think about when you was growing up. Think about some of your people. What did they think first about doing? Did they think about opening a bank account, saving money, buying stocks, or did they think about buying a pair of sneakers, buying the latest pair of jeans? And see, and that's something we need to change. We all need to change. Because I ain't gonna lie, I still spend money the bad way sometimes. Now, I do spend money in a good way sometimes, but I do spend money in a bad way sometimes. Because I still got the old mentality sometimes where I go out and say, shit, let me get the nicest television. When I can go get myself a 50-inch television, I'd rather have me a 70-inch television. Instead of investing that money into my future, maybe buy a couple stocks. Put it in my 401k. Let it roll over. But I don't do that, though. I mean, we don't do that also. We rather go out and spend that money crazy. The Prince, I'll be honest with the reparations. Like I just told you, that reparations is not going to work. It's not going to work. And the reason why it's not going to work, well, the main reason why it's not going to work is because you have to understand one thing first. How are you going to dole that money out in 2020? How you going to dole it out? You would never see that much. Even if they passed the bill, so they're going to get all the black people who are descendants from slavery reparations. Do you realize if they pass that bill right now, you, your kids, and your kids' will not see that money. By the time they figure out who gets it and who don't get it, you'll be dead, your kid will be dead, and your kid will be dead. I guarantee you. That's the way the government works. And that's one reason why I say, forget about reparations. Let's pass some bills to put funding into the inner cities. A massive bill, $1 trillion bill to fund the inner cities for jobs, training programs, education, justice reform, real justice reform. I think that's better than reparations. I think that's much better than reparations, from my opinion. That's better than reparations. Because you're not going to take you forever to get it. And right now, with Biden hopefully a week and a half from now, Biden will be elected as president, and you'll have a Democratic-controlled House. Hopefully, you'll have a Democratic-controlled Senate, and then you can push for those bills to help fund the inner cities. Because I believe that's what we need. Yeah, but the thing about that is, though, you got to realize one thing about it is the Republican Party will never let you get reparations. Never. That's another thing. The Republican Party would fight that tooth and nail. Well, Ralph, I got my glasses on, so I need a big TV too, but I got glasses though. See, that's another thing, Angie. We don't want to go to the programs. If you got those programs, take advantage of the programs. But you know what? A lot of these kids, a lot of these young adults, a lot of these middle-aged adults, they don't want to better themselves. And I hate to say it. I'm gonna be real. I'm keeping it real right now. I'm gonna be real. Sometimes we can be the most laziest people in the world. We can. I'm just gonna keep it real. I'm gonna keep it real. Go keep it real. Sometimes we do not want to get up and do the right thing. Think about this right here. Just think about the worst neighborhood in your city. And ask yourself, how many of those people you think really want to go out and get a job and get training? Just keep it all the way real. Keep it all the way real. But we got to have honesty in this. We got to be real. We got to keep it honest. You got to be honest. But like I said, it's all about accountability. T Black said it, and I'm gonna say it, and a couple more people have said it. It's all about accountability. It's all about accountability. We have to be accountable for our own actions. We have to take things and look at things from the perspective as in we need to make ourselves better. What can we do to make ourselves better as a group? We got to stop blaming other people for our downfall where we're not even trying to do the right thing. Ralph, and you're right. And I agree about that, Ralph. But like I said, though, the problem is how you going to do it? How you going to get the money? You got to realize it's 2020. Slavery ended in 1865. We talking about 100 and what? Almost 150 years later? Is my math right? No, I'm not. About 150, let's say 150 years later. How's that going to work? How's that going to work? You can't take no more. All right, hold on a second. I'll drop the link for you, Ralph. Y'all could have told me to drop the link earlier. I would have dropped it. Actually, I wasn't even thinking about the link. I really wasn't thinking about it, to be honest with you. Because I was too busy running my mouth. So, sometimes you start running your mouth, you don't be thinking about nothing else. But y'all more than welcome to come on up. I'm sorry about that. That was my fault. Y'all more than welcome to come on up here. And as y'all can see, I'm drinking Gatorade today for this first show. Because I wanted to have a clear mind when I did this show. because I take this serious. Stuff like this right here, I take serious, and I think everybody should have a clear mind and a good process of thinking things through.
What's going on, Kong? Salute.
What's up, dear Prince? Not much, man. Not much, man. I'm glad you was able to come over, man, and join the conversation, man.
Oh yeah, man. I support you, man. You support me, so I only back. I show love.
I appreciate it, man. I really do. But
Yeah,
go
so
ahead and tell what you were saying.
what I was saying about the reparations, I'm not saying they gonna give it to us because they don't want to see us in power anyway, and they don't want us to be on no even playing field with them. So of course they might not give it to us now, but we are owed that, like Ralph said. You know what I mean? We built this country. We came over here enslaved. We done took a lot of shit from these people, and everybody else come over here. The Indians, the Asians, everybody else come over here and get a portion, or they get set up for success. So why can't we, after all of these years of having not and being less than and mistreated, why can't we be broke off? Like I was saying, they found some money for them stimulus checks. You understand me? They find money for everything else they want to do. So why can't they find $1 trillion or $1 billion to pass out to us? You know what I mean? And for people that say, well, look what we do with them, don't worry about what I do with the money. You understand me? Because I'm pretty sure if they was to say, okay, we're gonna give out reparations, Cone, here's your half, you ain't gonna say no to it. You know what I mean?
No, I'm not. But no, I'm not. Most definitely gonna turn it down. Now I'm not gonna turn the money down.
Of course. So,
but my problem. But this is my problem, though. This is my problem, though. The Prince.
Go ahead.
If just said they said they came up one day and said we're gonna pass this bill. The bill got passed. Do you think realistically that you're gonna see that money though?
I mean, I honestly don't know, but I would hope to see it. You know what I mean? I would damn sure hope to see it. But
can I rewind? Can I rewind, Kong? Your show a little bit. I want to rewind. I want to rewind a little bit because I heard you said that, and I want to get a clarity on this. Did you say black people are lazy, man?
I did say that. I did.
Did you lose your goddamn mind, Kong?
No. Let me clarify myself now. When I said that, this is what I meant when I said that. Now, and I think I did give an example. Take the worst.
Yeah, I heard your example.
Take the worst. All right, I don't mean all black people now. I'm not talking about all black people now. Take the worst community in your city. All right, you live in Harlem, right? Take the worst area in Harlem, and you go in there, and you look around, and I guarantee you're gonna see a group of people who do not want to do anything with their time. They don't want to work. They don't want to get out and look for a job. They don't want to get out and try to get training for a job. They don't want to go out. They don't want to do anything to improve themselves. You see what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. That's what hurts us sometimes. People like that hurts us. The working men like me and you and the Prince, we suffer because of people like that. And that's what I was saying.
Let me ask you this, Kong. Do you believe in through your genes, through your ancestors and the things that your people been through, you could also suffer in the present time?
Yes and no. Because it's still all up to the individual. Still, like for instance, all right, prime example. My mother, for instance. My mother have never ever made as much money as I'm making today. Never in her life. She's 68 years old. She never had a job that paid her anywhere near the money I made. And the reason why
she lived in different times though.
No. What I'm saying is different times, but at the same time though, I improved my status in life. You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying?
Because times change, Tom.
No, what I'm saying is that's what I'm saying. What Ralph was saying about, by having your grandparents or whatever, they was in the street. I think matter of fact, let me let Ralph explain more because I think I know where you're going. That's why I'm using my mother as an example. But my whole point, then I'll let you do it. My whole point was my mother, she was a good mother. She worked, but she wasn't able to do the things I'm doing because I went and exceeded her. You know what I'm saying? I seen what she was, and that motivated me to do better. You see what I'm saying? That's why I said it's a yes or no response to that question you was asking. But go ahead and explain it more. Maybe I misunderstood.
All right. What I'm trying to say is like there were studies done, right? Where they, you know, remember back in the days, like, you know, we have rap concerts, and it always turned out that, you know, the black rap concerts, it'd be shootouts. Somebody get shot, somebody get killed. It's always some kind of altercation. So, you know, there were studies done, you know, to try to figure out why there's always altercations when there's crowded black people. And then there's always never no altercation when they do the same thing with white people in heavy metal concerts. Like they you know, the heavy metal concerts, they actually pour water on each other, push each other around, you know, dance and slam each other, all kind of stuff. So it was a study done, and they said, yo, why can't this happen at, you know, rap concerts and when black people are there? And it's possible to happen when white people are having concerts. And you know what they came up with, Kong? Coming over here to America, being dragged, you know, on boats, piled on top of each other. The generational down, even as today, I know you, Kong, as a black man, you don't want another black man too close to you, right or wrong? If his skin is touching your skin, he's too close, right or wrong?
It all depends on the situation. Because
explain that to me. Explain that to me.
You got to realize I ride public transportation every day. So
yeah, but I'm talking about skin to skin. I'm talking about, you know, you could be somewhere and people dancing, getting sweaty. You telling me, you know, another black man could come up on you and rub on you, and he's all sweaty and you won't mind?
No, that's a different situation.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. They do it all the time at white concerts. They be sweating, you know, throwing up on each other, all kind of stuff going on there. And you know why we don't tolerate that? Because you know, it goes back to our ancestors and the way we came here. We was piled on top of each other, shitting and sweating and pissing on top of each other on a boat to get here. You know, people might think, and they always say, yo, you know, that wasn't us. Why you always blaming us for that? Because it goes through our blood. You understand me? Do you understand do you understand the roach, right? The German roach adapts every generation. You feel me? So that's letting you know that, you know, things could go back generations, you know, and people still remember, even though you wasn't there, it's in you. That's why we can't be close to each other. That's why, you know, we have the issues that we have. And when you build a country for free without no revenue and nobody give you nothing back hundreds of years later, how can somebody call us lazy? We built this country for free. No other fucking race was enslaved and was, you know, put to work so everybody else could benefit but them.
All right, let me say this right here. Let me say this right here then. All right, like I said, let me clarify the laziness part first before I go any further. Like I said before, I don't mean all of us. I'm talking to the ones who want to sit at home and collect and don't want to improve themselves. Those are the ones I'm talking about. Now we got a lot of those.
They have the right to do that to me.
But we have a lot of those. We have a lot of those in the inner city who are hurting us. Bottom line. Now let's get to the other part. Now you live in New York City. Now you live around a lot of Country's brothers, right? Now with that theory you just put out there about the touching when people coming over on the slave boat and the sweating, laying on top of each other and all that. Now, how about the ones like those Country's brothers up in New York City who believe that there was no such thing as slave boats, that we was already here?
Yeah, I don't pay them dudes no mind.
So you don't pay them no mind?
Yeah, I don't pay them no mind. Just like I don't pay the Israelites no mind. I walk past a billion groups a day in New York City. I don't pay that no mind. I know where my family came from, and I know what, you know, actually happened, man. Like, we was dragged here and we was made to work for free. And I don't want to hear none of that other shit from them dudes.
No, I don't want you to take me the wrong way when I said laziness. Please don't take me the wrong way I said that. Now, I wasn't. Cause what I'm saying is I'm just being honest. And when I say I'm being honest to the point where I see that a lot in the inner cities. I see that in our ghettos in the inner cities.
Yeah, and that you know, that's you know, listen, let me explain something to you. Mexicans, right? They come up hard where they come from in Mexico, right? So they built to work hard because that's their heritage. You know, if your heritage was you working hard and getting nothing, guess what you're gonna want to do? Not work. See, you got to get over that mindset. You got to understand, a lot of people have that mindset that, yo, you fucked us over a long time ago. And then you go to a job and they teach you, if you ain't got a strong mind, you'll go to a job and say, yo, you know what, I want to get a job. And then they treat you like shit. And then you get flashbacks of slavery. And then you don't want to work. You understand me?
Just to piggyback off of what you're saying is just look at it when you get a job as a black man, how much harder you got to work and how much extra you got to do just to prove that you're not lazy. And you know what I'm saying? What people
I shouldn't have to talk about that because it's articles, it's a billion of them all over the place. So that's something that I shouldn't have to talk about, how hard we got to work harder than you know, the son will come in of the owner of the company and then tell you what to do, and this motherfucker's 20 years younger than you. Exactly. You feel what I'm saying? So they're still holding us down to this day. So a lot of people don't like to be, yo, I'm in New York City, right? Where there's a million shelters where people could go. And people don't like to go because they don't want to deal with the bullshit when they get there. The same thing when it comes to jobs and black people. People get flashbacks. Why you think all the lash out videos and shit that you see on the internet is black people lashing out at work? You get flashbacks.
Let me ask you a question, Ralph. You're in the Prince both portions. Now, you're talking about that slavery mentality, pretty much.
Yeah.
Now, I'm asking you a question.
Let me just say this, Kong, before you go. Let me say this before you go. I even heard Tariq Nasheed say, right? He talked to actors and actresses that was on movie sets that was portraying the slave days, and they had to stop and take a break because it was fucking with their mind. Do you understand me? This shit is real, Kong.
Oh, I can understand that part, but what I'm saying you as a black man and the Prince as a black man. Now, both of y'all get up every day and go to work, right? Now, y'all ancestors came from slavery, right? Now, this is your theory that you put forth, Ralph. Now, I don't know the theory because I haven't seen it in action. But by your logic and your theory, that means that you and the Prince should be sitting at home being lazy also. So what makes y'all different than the ones that I'm talking about?
Well, I'm laid off, Kong, so I don't get up every morning to go to work.
But you want to work.
I'm being lazy right now.
What he trying to say is you willing, though. What he trying to say is you willing.
So what makes y'all different than everybody else?
But let me say this real quick,
the difference is, let me answer that before I lose my train of thought. You know what I mean? Just like you have the Harriet Tubmans, right? You understand me, Coach?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's not a Harriet Tubman. So everybody's not going to overcome what was done to us. A lot of people are going to say, yo, listen, you know, they fucked us over and they're going to live with that. A lot of people want to overcome it. A lot of people want to coon and overcome it. I want to overcome it without cooning, ever. You know?
But you have overcome it because you're working every day. You get up and go to work.
Yeah, but I still work for the white man every day. I work for the city of New York. I work for the white man. You understand me?
Kong, what you don't see when you see them brothers on them corners is you don't see them. They shade tree plumbers. They shade tree mechanics. They shade tree this and that. See, we got skills, but you know what I'm saying? You don't see them because all you doing is going to work for the white man when they, you know what I'm saying, they using their time to do what they want to do and still have time to kick it and maintain, you know what I'm saying, the living that they uphold. But see, brothers like us, we like a certain style of living. So that's why we willing to get up and every morning to go work for the white man. Whereas this brother over here, he may be good with Section 8 home or, you know what I'm saying, or hand-me-down home or something like that, where he ain't got to go and work like that every day. He know his set amount of bills and he know his set amount of what money he need to make. So he do whatever he can to survive. And that's it. I mean, that don't mean he lazy. You know what I mean?
All right, how about this right here then? Let me flip it on y'all then. Let me flip this right here then. So why would we settle for less? Why we settle for the minimal? Why do you want the minimal instead of trying to just spread out and try to get as much as you can?
Everybody
minimum though.
don't
What's
want
the minimum, Kong? You know,
Like the prince was saying, they wanted to sit at home, work minimal, say tree jobs, mechanics or whatever, have time to hang out, while other people want to go to work, want houses and cars and all this other stuff. So you got other people with the mentality of just wanting the minimal instead of going for the gusto.
Can we be realistic?
Go ahead.
If everybody wanted houses and cars and the best of life, it'd be anarchy, right or wrong?
I'm gonna disagree with that, Ralph.
Because everybody want the same thing. So guess what? Nobody's playing, different positions. That's how the world go around. There's poor, there's middle class, and there's people who would do what they want to do. If everybody could do what they want to do, you don't think this world would be upside down?
I think we'll be in a better place.
If everybody wanted to do whatever they wanted to do, and everybody wanted to have the money that they want to have, you don't think this world will be upside down? That's why they got prisons.
I would disagree with that also, because I just feel like I feel like we should not shoot for the minimal. We should shoot for the maximum always, and we should teach our kids to shoot for the maximum. Even though you might not can attain the maximum, you still should shoot for the maximum, because you should be teaching your kids never to settle for less. Never.
Yeah, but you got to define that, because back in the days I used to sell drugs, and now these kids are doing PPP scams and all that shit like that, and they making more money than we ever did in 2 weeks. So I you got to define that for me, brother.
Well, what I'm saying is, if you gonna raise your kids to do not the minimal, as in, for instance, right now, I'm pretty sure you don't want to see your kid living in some slum house just because he wants to. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you have to not raise him in a slum house in order for him not to want to come.
That's my point. That's my point.
Of your environment.
That's my point. You shoot for the stars. You tell your kids to shoot for the stars, no matter what.
You could tell them what all the fuck you want to tell them, but if you don't show them and you don't lead by example, then it's gonna fall on deaf ears.
But that's where you come in. At you go to work every day, right? You go to work. Your son watch you go to work every day, work 2 jobs. He see you bring home the money to pay the bills. He seeing his father be successful at what he does. No matter what it is, he's successful at what he does. And that's what you're teaching your kids. And then you teach your kid to do better than you. You know what I'm saying? If you didn't go to college, shoot for the stars. Teach your kid, look, go to college. Do something better than what I did. Improve on what I did.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Kong. I don't want my sons to work like I have to work. You understand me?
That's what I'm saying. You want to be in a white collar job, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying right there. Shoot for something right.
I have a question for Ralph. Hi,
Let's
can you hear me?
Let's do it. We can hear you.
Okay, I'm not feeling that great, so my voice is messed up. But Ralph, you said that you something about flashbacks of slavery. What slave boat were you on, and what field were you picking cotton in?
Well, I wasn't on a slave boat, but my family is from Savannah, Georgia, and my ancestors, going all the way back to my great-great-grandfather, yes, they was brung over here, and yes, we did endure slavery, Jim Crow, and all the above down in the South until my parents decided to move to the North.
Oh, my parents did too, but that sounds like an excuse coming from you. So because of flashbacks from slavery, I'm not supposed to want to do better for myself because I want to hold on to something that happened 5 or 6 generations before me. That's what it sounded like. Well, that's what I got from you. Sound like an excuse.
What I was trying to say was that some don't overcome as well as others. And that may be the reason that a lot of our people just don't give a fuck.
Well, we need to start giving a fuck. We need to start giving a fuck.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm just letting you know why some people don't comply, with the shit that we think is cool. Like, I like to go to work. You like to go to work. Kong like to go to work. I like good things. My computer chair was squeaking last week. You hear any more squeaks? Yeah,
got
my
another
shit
one.
it came in from Amazon. I'm Gucci now. You know, I got a
But
high
it's
back with a
but
headrest, all
it's
that good shit now.
2020. It's
You know,
2020,
but
and
some
we
people
got to
make
stop
excuses
blaming
for
the
shit
white
like that.
man. We got to stop blaming the white man. We got
No,
to
I'm
stop
not blaming
saying
the white
things
man. I'm
like,
just blaming the history of what they did. Like
right, but we
I'm not
can't
blaming
hold
the
on to
present
that.
white man. I'm not blaming the present white man, but I'm
Well, we
just
can't.
blaming the history. And listen,
We
no bullshit, right? You can't sit here and tell me that there are not still white men benefiting off of the slavery days right now.
of course,
Okay, so
but
how can we forget it then? And we
we
ain't getting
can't
nothing that
forget
they
it. But I
stole.
mean, we
You just
can't use the
basically told
excuse.
me to put it to the side. I'm using it as an excuse.
That was a
You
good point.
can't use it as an excuse to saying you were having flashbacks like you were actually on a boat or picking cotton. All of our ancestors were on a boat or picking cotton, but everybody in this chat and on this panel, we weren't doing it. You
You
know,
if
we could all look. We could all say that traumatized us. I don't like looking at those movies. I
Yeah,
refuse to look
yeah.
at those movies.
The Roots fucked me up. Certain
It
shit
sure
fucked me
did.
up.
That was
And I
the one
wasn't
and
even
only
around
one
for
I saw.
Roots.
I
You
didn't
know?
see any more movies after Roots because it fucked me up because I had to go to work with non-black people and I know how I am. So I didn't watch any of those things, but I don't hold back. I didn't hold back. Well, I'm having flashbacks, so I'm not going to go to college. I didn't think like that. I went to college. I worked
But you
10
heard what you
hours a
just said?
day.
You heard what you just said? Can I stop you for a minute
Well,
there?
yeah, what did I
You
say?
just said you couldn't watch Roots.
Right.
Do
I
you think
watched
there's a
it. I
reason for
watched
that?
it.
Let
I
me tell
watched
you.
Roots, but I didn't
Can you
watch
watch
any
it again?
more.
Why you can't
No,
watch it again?
I don't want because I already
Because
knew
it's
what
in
happened,
you, sister. It's in you.
but I
It's
saw it.
in you.
But it doesn't hold me back, Ralph. I know what happened to I mean, look at me. I don't know if you've seen me. I'm very light skinned. So I know what happened down the road. Somebody was messing with somebody in my family. So I know
Exactly.
all of
that's
that.
not
I know
necessarily
that, but
Exactly.
I don't hold that like to use it as an excuse that I can't do better for myself.
You ever seen the movie Rosewood?
I told
what
you
you
after Roots, I haven't seen anything.
See,
Miss
that's what I'm
Angie.
saying. It's in you, and that's what I'm talking about. That's deep rooted inside of you that you can't even watch
Yeah,
a
because I
movie
know
that
because I
was
don't
made in
want to see it.
Hollywood because
Yeah,
it's in you.
but Ralph,
You feel me?
I think what she's trying to say, I get your point, Ralph, what you're saying, but I think her point is that no matter how she feel about Roots and how she feel about all those movies that came out about slavery, still she's not gonna let it hold her back from being successful in life.
It
Exactly.
ain't about holding you back. You gotta understand, Colin. People handle things differently, man. And when it's inside of you, the way she handled it is not watching the movies and going to work every day and being successful. A lot of
Miss
people
Angie.
don't want to go to work and work for these people
I hear you,
because they
Prince.
handle it a different way. You
Okay.
understand me? You gotta understand what I'm saying, man. A
No,
lot of people, this shit is in us, man. Whether you like it or
no,
not.
but still though, Ralph,
That's why I made the example. You know what I mean? I cannot be playing basketball and I know you for 5 years and come up on you and give you a full hug, Kong, with no shirt on, and I'm sweating, and we both black men. You're gonna
well,
be like, yo, get up off me, brother.
that's something
You
totally
feel me?
that's about masculinity. That's not to me personally.
No, there ain't no masculinity because white men do it. White men do it all the time. They
Hold on
run
one
up to
second,
each other,
Ralph,
sweating, throwing up, all kind of shit, and still hug each other.
Ralph,
And
hold on
We
one second,
do it too, though, Ralph. You wrong on that, and Miss
hold on.
Angie, you was wrong about the colorism deal, and I'll touch on that when I
Go
get a
ahead,
chance.
Okay, go ahead.
yeah,
Go ahead.
do your
go
thing
ahead.
so we don't lose track. Yeah.
First, Miss Angie, when you said that you're light skinned, so that's why you think some of your ancestors might have messed with some white people, that's not true. Black man and woman can create all shades of colors of individuals. You know that,
Well,
right?
I know that, but in my family, I can say my grandfather was white because I knew him and I saw pictures of my family, so it did happen.
Okay. And to you, Ralph, not every brother is like that where we don't want to be loved and hugged and touched by another brother. We got to get out of that mind state.
I'm talking
You
about
know,
a strange brother. A strange brother.
a strange when I go to the grocery store, Ralph, 9 times out of 10, I might not know that brother before the COVID. And you know how we greet each other with that handshake and you pull them in the doubt. I'm pretty sure you done that before to a brother you didn't know.
Plenty of times, but a homeless
All right,
black
then.
brother walk up to you and his hands look like he been walking on them motherfuckers. You know, he been handstanding and walking around the earth. He's dirty as a motherfucker, and he want to embrace you. Would you embrace him?
Before the COVID, I probably would.
No.
COVID, I ain't gonna embrace a clean motherfucker.
Y'all crazy.
Okay, I'll go with before the COVID. Before the COVID.
Yeah, I would have.
Hands fucked up and all that. You was still giving him a handshake.
My brother, I done been in the hood. I still go back to see my people. You know, everybody down there ain't living in no homes and shit. Like you go out to feed the homeless and shit. Them people probably ain't showered or shaved, but you might have to touch one of their hands to hand them that hot dog. You understand me? So
I take the proper precautions though when I go down.
You always go ahead and sit in there.
Yeah, I take the proper precautions. I'm
Mr.
not gonna just say
Dwayne
it.
Morse, I am not a coon Republican. I'm sorry if you think I sound crazy, but I am not a coon Republican. Not that I had to answer your question.
I think he was talking about Ralph.
No, the guy in the comments named Dwayne Morse.
Yeah, that was before you got up here, man.
Yeah, I'm not be in the comments.
Said,
Once I'm on the panel,
he said that
comments.
I'm the only female on the panel, so I'm sound crazy. But it's fine.
We're gonna stay away from the coon word. We'll stay away from the coon word. We all have different opinions. We all have different opinions, but I don't think anybody on this panel is a coon. I really don't. I really don't.
They was calling one of us a coon. Yeah.
Because
I'm not a coon. Sorry.
I know for a fact I have seen some real coons. There ain't no coon in this building right now. Trust me, I know for a fact. No,
I ain't hear no coonery.
We're not talking about the Candace Owens. So trust me.
I ain't hear no coonery up here. I did hear some misguided people, but I didn't hear no coonery.
No, this is my thing. This is my thing. This is my whole thing about the whole situation. Still, it goes back to accountability. Bottom line, we have to hold ourselves accountable for our own actions. Still,
when the white people gonna be accountable for enslaving our people and making us work for free?
See, this is thing about
you presented the word. You presented the word.
But this is the thing about that, Ralph. This thing about that is we are all got different opinions on that. As black people, we have different opinions on that.
How?
We don't even think the same when it comes to that. We don't. All black people don't want reparations like that. Some people want it different ways. Like y'all want individual reparation. Some people like myself, I just think we should get $1 trillion and put it in the inner cities. So we're all thinking different on that also.
Now I need mines in my bank account.
You need yours.
Yeah, I need to send them motherfuckers my routing number. You understand me?
But with me, I just feel like that's not going to
work. Because you know what I feel like, Kong? I feel like we need to even the playing field. You know, we can't compete against motherfuckers that got hundreds of years, you know, on us, and they cheated. They cheated. They cheated, Kong. That's what I'm trying to tell you, brother.
If that's the case, Ralph.
Yo, Kong. You know why you can't roll out a boat and put it on the back of your Chevy truck and drive it down to the lake and then put a Trump flag on the back of it? Because you ain't got generational wealth from slavery. But see, a lot of these people out here, right? They sitting around, they meth addicts, right? They don't do shit. They don't go to work every day like me and you. They more lazier than any black man that y'all could imagine. But they got generational wealth, and it's still coming in from days of them taking advantage of us. Well, Ralph, so it's time for us to step up and get ours, man. Even a playing field.
You want an even playing field, right?
Yeah, that's what I want.
Right? Now, by your logic, you got reparations there. You know how? How? Because in I think it was 1970, I believe, Supreme Court, they upheld the law where it was okay to for quotas.
For what?
For quotas, to fill quotas. Basically, give you a position that you wasn't qualified for just to make you whole next to a white man.
And what year was that?
I think I was in the 70s when the Supreme Court.
I was born in 77. How does that benefit me?
But still, it was still in effect though.
How does that benefit me, though?
Because they made you equal to a white man by giving you that.
The only way where I come from, you could be equal or even, you know, like daughter
No,
being
I'm
equal
sorry,
to a
John
white
Wise.
man
John
is if
Wise.
you rapping or playing basketball. You know, it's
John Wise.
not.
I'm sorry.
You know,
But by your logic, that was reparations.
that ain't no reparations.
Yeah, by your logic, that was.
No. Reparations is putting $100,000 in every black man's account and letting him try to do what he got to do after that. Even the
100,000
playing
ain't
field.
enough, man.
Well, I'm gonna wait on that, Ralph.
100,000 ain't enough, Ralph.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
if you
not
can't
enough.
do it with 100, then you don't deserve it.
Nah,
100
fuck
should
that.
make us listen. If you give every black man in this country $100,000, right, and you can't get black men to put that money together and make something powerful, then y'all don't need the money.
Why can't we
Argument
get
is over.
500,000? Why can't
Argument
we get
is over there.
500,000? Why can't we get
Yeah.
to 500,000, Ralph, instead of 100? You
They
just
can't
gonna.
get everybody
That's what Tom
500,000.
was just saying.
Y'all
You settling for less.
Y'all see my
I'm gonna
point?
shoot high first and then talk them down. You understand me?
Y'all see my point now, right? See,
Yeah,
y'all
but I don't think we're gonna get it. We'll never see it.
Y'all
We'll
can't
never
even-
see it.
Listen,
Let me
I
say
seen a
this.
story of some black people who bought a bunch of land with their reparation money. And I don't want to say the black people name and I don't want to say where they bought the land at. But if they could do that with reparation money, then $100,000 a black man, you should be able to do something if y'all put the money together. Don't buy Cadillacs and rims and compete with each other. Put the money together and build something.
Shit, don't
You
matter.
understand me?
Don't worry about what I do with my money. Shit.
See, that's a problem right there.
Don't worry about what I
Yeah.
do with it. Just give it to
Yeah,
me.
money you ain't had before, and you talking about don't worry about what I do with my money.
And just
you ain't have it before though. You understand what I'm saying?
it was
If you ain't have it
15
before, then you
it was-
need to invest that to
it
make
was
sure your
15
kids can live better.
families. It was 15 families in Georgia. They bought
Come on,
97
don't put
acres
that
of
whole
land.
shit out there, man. It's a troll world, man.
Well, actually,
Man, it's already out there. I already did the story on my channel and everything.
Someplace in North Carolina, I can't think of the name of the city or the town, but they gave reparations, and it was like a few months ago. I seen this story where that town gave reparation to the citizens of that town. I might look that up.
I remember hearing about that,
It was in
Con.
North Carolina. I can't remember what city it was, but it was in North Carolina. And I've seen the story, but I didn't really read into the story or look at the story fully, so I can't really give no details about it. But I'm gonna go back and look that up though.
I remember hearing about that.
But I hate to end this conversation because we're having a good conversation. But I got to use the bathroom. Then I'm because I got to work tomorrow. Then I got to give my other fans on the other channel a live tonight. So I got
Who
to
you
go
going to the other joint? You going to the other side of things?
We're going to drink now.
Yeah, we're going to drink now because I'm ready to get it right now. So now I got to find the Heineken hour after I go to the bathroom and get myself together. But
I'm sipping right now. Nigga, I sip through the real talk, the Heineken, everything. Nigga,
that's why
Yeah, we can tell, Ralph. We can tell.
Listen, I'm enjoying my life, man. I'm not living for YouTube motherfuckers worry about what I'm doing. I work hard. I come home. I enjoy my life. I make sure my kids are straight. Listen, and that's it, man.
I appreciate everybody coming over. I really do. I
appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, so you doing the Heineken hour tonight since I'm drinking. Let me get this shit clear, right? This is what you're telling me?
We're finna go over to the Heineken hour, have open mic, and we're gonna drink and have a good time.
All right, I'll meet you over there, brother. Salute to you, man.
Salute, man.
Peace.
Oh, now T, now you said you was about to call in. Come on, T. But catch me on the other side. We can talk on the other side also, T. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, T. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Letitia, Tracy. I know Jen. I know I'm missing a name, but thank everybody who came by and chatted and typed in the chat. I appreciate you, and I will see y'all on Kong King Live in about 10 minutes. So see you then.